So my talk this morning is embracing the divine, embracing the divine. One of the fundamental questions we have to answer for ourselves, is the universe for us or against us? Are we at home in the universe? Do we have a right to be here? Is this our rightful place? Kennedy Schultz, my teacher, he said most of us don't feel at home. We don't feel we have a right to be here, but we do. We have a right to be here and to be the bright, shining light of God's possibilities, right where we are and right as we are. You don't have to become perfect. You don't have to become saintly. You don't have to get rid of all the little nooks and crannies of your personality. Right where you are, Spirit can use you to perform wonderful, amazing blessings that you cannot even envision now, beyond even your greatest imagination. You are here to do good and powerful, bold and dynamic work. You are here to be awed with how much Spirit loves you, how much it believes in you, how much it sees the possibilities of you. It's incredible to believe to think that Spirit is somehow more interested in the little mistakes we make along the way than it is in awe of what we can do, how we can change the world, how we can bring healings and blessings and love to the physical. We are here to be in partnership with creation, to create a new heaven and a new earth, and we're up to the task. Dr. Holmes, the founder of our wonderful teaching, he used the example of Christ to make the same point. He said we can either consider Christ to be the great exception or the great example. If we see him as the great exception, then we're left to be in awe of him. We are left to just worship him. And that leaves us feeling distant and incapable of bringing a Spirit to life. But if we see him as the great example, then we're invited to follow his teachings and to embody his wisdom in our lives, to live as he would live, here now. Because this is the moment, here now. It's not when we cross over to Spirit. It's here in the physical that we learn and we get to experience. See, in Spirit, we only learn things from a point of consciousness. But here in life, we get to experience it. And it's the difference between reading a French cookbook and having a wonderful French meal. It's the difference between reading a romance novel. I'll let your imagination go from there. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. And we want to have it all. Bishop Spong, he said that we went from the religion of Jesus, the one that he practiced while he was on earth, performing miracles, healing, teaching, that we went from the religion of Jesus, which was basically Reformed Judaism, to the religion about Jesus, about him. And that became Christianity. He also said Christ had pointed the way, and for over 2,000 years now, we've been studying his fingernail. Christ himself said, I'm the great example. He said, I'm just the example. He said, what I have done, you'll be able to do, and you will do greater if we can live and believe in goodness and have faith. In Hindu scripture, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna the same thing. Arjuna is about to face his destiny. He's about to go into to really prove who he is and what he is. And suddenly at that place of decision, he backs away from it. He doesn't know if he's capable. And Krishna tells him, you've got it within you. You have the potential within your own soul for enlightenment, for supreme peace. But we've got to face up. We have to do it. Dr. Holmes says you got to look at a thing in the face and know the truth. That you're not weak, you're not wounded, you're not a victim. You're here to be a victor. There's nothing that you are facing that you and Spirit can't handle. You plus Spirit is an answer to any problem you're going to confront. And you don't need to be worried about anything the doctor tells you, or what the politicians tell you, God forbid, or what the news media or the banker tells you. You're the one who makes the decisions in your life. Now, we are New Thought. We have a new idea. It's getting pretty old now. We call ourselves New Thought and Ancient Wisdom because the truth of the matter is, since humanity started, these ideas bubble up. And what we believe is that the universe itself is the manifestation of Spirit. It has no other purpose than to express itself and know itself. It is not in need of salvation because it does not know it is lost. Instead, it is a universe of creation and unfolding potential. You are the unfolding potential of all the universe. And there is not a single thing in the universe that is greater than you. Neither the rings of Saturn, the wings of a hummingbird, or anything else. You are Spirit's greatest achievement. It was so impressed with the idea of you when it first contemplated you that it had to create you. And you walk the soil so you can demonstrate that wonderful potential. And Spirit has never been disappointed in you for one moment. Never been disappointed in you. It's still in awe of your great potential. And so the question becomes, well, what is the potential of our lives? And can we expand it? Can we see greater? And can we see it for everyone else? And can we support it for others? To know and affirm that all is working together for our benefit, even when it seems the most unlikely. You know, this past week, we really had a beautiful week here in St. Augustine. And I'm starting my 13th year here in St. Augustine. And I have, yes, yeah. My first Sunday on this stage was April 1st. It should have told me something, Eddie. So 13 years, and I have come to realize that there are about 17 days in St. Augustine, the atmosphere here in St. Augustine, that I'm willing to work outside in the yard. 17 days. I want low humidity, no bugs, and a light breeze. So, I mean, that gets us down to 17 days. Fortunately, Monday turned out to be one of those 17 days. Now, I've had an issue with my car, and they've got it in at the dealership. There's something wrong that they have responsible for. So for 10 days now, I've been driving a brand new Lincoln. When they turned it over to me, it only had 6 miles on it. Yeah, it's nice enough, but it's a family car. It's a big, if you had a big family, that's the kind of car it is. The car I drive is the one Matthew McConaughey is the spokesperson for. People say that he and I have a passing resemblance, especially when I'm going 75 miles an hour down the interstate. So I'm driving this big behemoth of a vehicle. I realized on Monday this would be a great day to go buy and spread mulch. And I thought about, well, God, you're going to put mulch in a brand new vehicle. But I would have done it anyway. It's their fault. So I thought, well, I'll just make sure there's lots of plastic covering and it should be fine. So I get to Lowe's. I get the pine bark. They're loading it up. I didn't have any money to tip them, so I thought, well, I'll help them load it. You know, that'll be my tip to them, help them a little bit. So they were putting 10 bags in the back. I was loading 5 in the little section behind the passenger and driver's seat. I had almost finished up. I was over by the passenger seat. I had put the last bag in. I closed the door. It still has the stickers on it. And I hadn't looked at the price of the thing. And when I closed the door, all of a sudden my eyes just directly went to the number, $68,000. $68, and I have just loaded it up with pine bark. and as I close the door, I happen to look over. There are 3 young people helping me. And I look over to, and one of them is doing a dance that some people were doing in the 70s. I never engaged in this. It was called the Funky Chicken. Do you remember the Funky Chicken? No, thank you. No, thank you. He was doing the Funky Chicken. And so I come over, and he's telling me, he says, I'm covered in ants, and they're stinging me. And I look up at the pallet, and the pallet is just exploding in all these ants. And I realize I've packed this car with pine bark and fire ants. So I pop the trunk. I'm hauling them out. These 3 people, somehow they were just caught in a time warp. They didn't understand the issue of getting the stuff out of the car because I was doing it, and I mentioned to them, can you help me get it out? And so I'm still hauling stuff out. They just couldn't grasp the situation. Finally, I barked at them. I need help getting this stuff out. So they got it out. We got the plastic out. No fire ants. We put more plastic down, and I was on my way. We loaded it up with another product. And I was just fussing and fuming. I was like, AI can't come soon enough. We'll have robots doing this kind of stuff, and it won't be a problem. Then it dawned on me. I was about 30 seconds away from getting my car and heading down US 1 at 70 miles an hour with a carload of pine bark full of fire ants. And if they had gotten a hold of me, I would have been doing the Funky Chicken on US 1. Everything is a blessing. Everything is a blessing. When you see it from its proper distance, when you see it from the right place. Emerson said that. Emerson said, everything at a distance seems to be in its proper place. Everything is working for our good. And so we just have to identify our good and not to get tied in to the negative we see around us. And if you can't see the good in something, turn it over to Spirit. Turn it over to God. It's God's universe, not yours. If there's something you can't handle, you can't deal with, turn it over to Spirit. Then look for something you can give your energy to. And for heaven's sakes, stop talking about it. Stop running around giving an update to all your friends. They're not interested. They're being polite. Look for something better. Christ demonstrated how we can live in harmony. We can live with Spirit, and we can live with one another. He referred to God as Papa. That's how intimate he was with Spirit. And you have to think about this thing. When he was walking the earth, for Jewish people, God reigned in the temple, and only the high priest went in one time a year. And here was Christ going around calling Papa and performing miracles. He said, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. And so what he was talking about is we are all welcome. He didn't say when you get perfect, you can come in. He didn't say after all your sins are washed away, you can come in. He said, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. He told that to the thief next to him on the cross. He said, this day you'll be with me in paradise. This day. Each of us has a place in this divine family. This family not created by human hand, but eternal to the cosmos. It's lit by the wisdom of Spirit shining through all of us. All of us. We all have this light within us. And when we recognize that all of creation is Spirit's perfect work, we can join in this universal community, and we can transcend the boundaries of individual perspectives. We'll live in celestial wisdom. We'll learn to see both the saint and the sinner as one. We will recognize the divine presence in those who kneel before the altar and those who wander the streets. Because only when we can love all of them equally, without judgment or condemnation, can we be on our spiritual path. We want to be compassionate with ourselves, because at times we've been both the saint and we have been the sinner. And it's been said that the real saints are those who can tie their divine impulses with the frustrations of life, because they are frustrations of life. Let the Buddha drive I-95 through Jacksonville and see how enlightened he is. Yeah, he'll be looking for the Bodhi tree after that, let me tell you. And it's when we try to be just saintly, when we ignore our human impulse, that rises to anger and bitterness. That's what we're seeing playing out right now under a lot of people who are saying they're very religious. You know, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. It was called the Church of God. My dad wanted me to be a minister there. And it was one of those places where people spoke in tongues. And the way it's supposed to work, if you speak in tongues, there's supposed to be somebody there who can interpret it for you. And so there was a little delightful lady. Her name was Sister Margaret. You called everybody sister and brother. Sister Margaret. Sister Margaret would give you stale peppermint candy from her handbag. So I always liked her. So if things really got going, Sister Margaret would stand up and start speaking in tongues. And her real sister, she would get up and interpret it. And oh my heavens, talking about the gnashing of teeth and the coming destruction and the anger and all of this of God, that it was just waiting to get its hands upon us and give us a good what for. I was, lady, take a peppermint yourself. You know, it doesn't have to be this bad. When you're holding that to a standard, you're holding yourself to an unhuman standard, and you're naturally going to be angry, and you're naturally going to be looking for people around you who aren't living to your standard. So at least you can say, well, Spirit, don't squash me like a bug, squash those over there. We don't need to live like that. The Quran says anybody who does an atom's worth of good will see it. Anybody who does an atom's worth of evil will see that as well. So we want to make sure that our thoughts, our words, our behaviors, they carry significance. We want to sow seeds of kindness and compassion, knowing we will see the fruits of them. A couple of weeks ago, you know, for years and years, I've been the president of the St. Augustine Interfaith Community. We did great work, but it was time for me to release it. And so I let it go to Reverend Will. He's at the First United Methodist Church. He's an amazing young guy, and I was so pleased to be turning this organization over to him. And I know he's going to do a brilliant job. And while I was talking to him, I envisioned the day that he would be turning it over to someone else. I envisioned what that conversation would be like. And I invested energy into that because I know it'll be a great day. And I imagine all the good work he's going to do. The Native American tradition tells us that in every action, we should see how it is being played out, even to the seventh generation. So what we're doing now is going to have a huge impact. And so we want to recognize and know that there is no judgment, no condemnation or criticism in the divine realm. There's justice, there's divine guidance, and there's this upward spiral of progress. You're getting better hour by hour, day by day, year by year. You're spiraling upward. We align ourselves with infinite wisdom. We're guided into that eternal light. Dr. Holmes, he said, I'm guided by infinite wisdom into the light which is eternal, and my soul is jubilant. So we want to know what makes our soul jubilant, what makes us want to sing out, what makes us want to praise. This is good, to know that we are in harmony with God. God is not against us. God is encouraging us. with divine presence, expressing love and compassion, faith in our daily lives. By doing so, by being a part of that, by acknowledging it ourselves, by owning up to it and saying, yes, I'm not this victim. I am here to do great and wonderful good works. We contribute to the unfolding beauty and wonder of creation and the manifest divine light within ourselves, so we can become the light of the world. It's what you're here to do, and you can do it. So shine forth. Be the brilliant light God knows you to be, and go out there and make a miracle happen. You can do it. God is calling on you, and it's the truth in your life. It's the truth in mine, and so it is.